All right, everybody, welcome to the Essential Credentials Podcast, episode 3. My name is Matt. I'm joined by my good friends Greg.
Hey, how are you?
And Alan.
What's up, everybody?
Awesome. Today we're going to be talking about underappreciated and undervalued cards from the 90s, and focusing primarily on inserts and kind of the reasons why we feel that they're underrated and undervalued, and hopefully give you a chance to, go find these yourself. So without further ado, Alan, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a pretty big contributor in this Facebook group that we're all a part of, and one of the people that got me pulled into it. So let's hear it.
It's kind of a long story. I mean, like how the group came about, and then just my history and the hobby in general. But I'll start it with I've been collecting since probably, I would say, around 91. And the reason I say that is because it kind of happened on a whim. My friend Tracy, who was a really good childhood friend of mine, his family was from Texas, so huge Texas Rangers fans, huge Dallas Cowboys fans, like everything Texas sports. That's like what they were into. And he was a big Nolan Ryan fan. And I remember that he had posters and everything on his wall. But one day I came over to his house just to play. We were just hanging out. And he introduced me to Juan Gonzalez. And I remember specifically, it was the 90 Donruss card that he had. And I just thought that was really cool. I didn't really know anything about him at the time, but he was like, this guy is awesome and he's going to be so good. And just kind of, working it up in my head. And I took off like from there that day. Like I wanted to know everything about Juan Gonzalez. That's all that mattered to me. So I started following him, and we would go to the card shops. When I would go to his house, his mom would take us, and then my parents would take us if we were over at our house. And that was just a lot of fun. So, I mean, that's what I started doing, was buying up, Juan Gonzalez cards. And I was basically working off of, off of an allowance, which wasn't much, but every single cent I got, I didn't save it. Like I had no concept of saving money. So whatever I had would go towards whatever I could afford.
Mm-hmm.
So my collection, as it started with Juan Gonzalez, was just base cards. And even back then, like that 90 Donruss reverse negative, I didn't know anything about that. I just knew that he had a 90 Donruss card. I had heard about the reverse negative, but I didn't know anything about it. I couldn't tell you the difference at that time.
Right. The info for cards back then was like hobby shop owners would tell you, or Beckett had to like put a little article on it for you to even really know.
Asterisk with an error on it.
Right. That's it. Yep.
That's all I knew. Like reverse negative I didn't know what that meant. I just knew that there was one out there, and every 90 Donruss that I would buy of him, I would like look at two of them to try to see the difference. So that's what it was to me. It was just base cards and then inserts, so but that didn't start until probably 92, 93 for me, like taking notice of different like subsets and stuff. But that's how it all got started. It got started with a friend of mine, and he kicked it off, and he lit a fire in me for Juan Gonzalez. And I ate, slept, and breathed everything Juan Gonzalez. And
let me ask you something real quick. When you, in the 90s, early 90s, were you just buying the base cards, or were you buying packs trying to pull Juan Gonzalez?
Here's the thing about that. I would buy packs, but it was only when I could afford them. So like, we went to flea markets a lot. We went to flea markets more than we did card shops. When we had a few card shops here in town at the time, like early 90s. But I bought more Gonzalez stuff at the flea markets because they were like a quarter a piece, and packs were already, at the time I started getting in, they were like 75 cents to $1.25 a pack. I want to say, maybe $1 a pack, but it was just more feasible for me to obtain singles. So like I would just go to a flea market and like raid them of like everything that they had. And, I would even beg my dad. I'd be like, hey, this is like 75 cents. Can I like have $1, please? I just want to buy this card, So, I would say more money got spent at flea markets than it did card shops. Just because I had no concept of saving money. So I was my own worst enemy in that sense.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree with that statement.
But yeah, that's how it all started for me. It is.
So when I started collecting, it was around 93, 90. In the like 90, 91, was Juan Gonzalez, was he pretty hyped up in terms of like sales?
What I've heard, like when I caught wind of it, I think it was right after he got called up. Maybe had a few games under his belt, because the only things I knew about him was what my friend told me. Like I didn't really know to go look in the newspaper at that point and look up stats and everything.
Yeah.
And that was my only way of finding out, how he was doing, was to look in the paper. But I didn't really catch wind of that until later. Probably 93, 94. But I wouldn't say he was super hot then, but he was on the rise, like as far as the hobby goes. But it was not hard to obtain his cards, whereas already at that point, Griffey was hot. So I was kind of odd out, especially in my circle of friends, because I remember there was another friend of mine who was a huge Griffey fan, and that's all he cared about. So I was, like I said, I was the odd man out. I liked Juan Gonzalez, and even my friend Tracy, who got me into Juan Gonzalez, wasn't a huge Juan Gonzalez fan. He was a Nolan Ryan fan. So I mean, it really was just me. I didn't have anybody to like share it with, and I was okay with that. It didn't bother me at all.
Well, it's kind of interesting too, because I can't help but think about 96, and I know Alan knows where I'm going with this. Still bitter. Juan won the MVP by like 7 points or something, which still should not have happened. But anyways, A-Rod had that amazing year in 96. Should have won MVP. I mean, don't know how it didn't happen, but it's interesting because Juan won the MVP, yet his cards sold for half the price, more or less. So A-Rod, the popularity of a young guy taking off, where Juan had been in the baseball 3 or 4 years at that point, been playing really well. It was kind of interesting to see everybody like, okay, yeah, great for you, Juan. We all care about A-Rod now. And he was kind of the main guy. And then, Griffey had that amazing year in 98. So, it's just kind of interesting to see how that goes with Juan Gonzalez, because you're lucky that his cards really never went crazy. I mean, he should have won the MVP. Nowadays, if a guy wins MVP, like, Mookie Betts last year, his stuff went up, obviously. So it's kind of an interesting point. But I just want to point that out to anybody listening. Go look up the stats, and you'll see that I'm right. Should have been A-Rod, man.
I feel like this podcast today is kind of like relevant for Juan Gonzalez, like underappreciated sets. Juan Gonzalez was a pretty underappreciated player,
No, absolutely. He was a monster, man. I hated when the Mariners played him. He killed them when he was on the Rangers, when I was the Indians, when on the Royals. I mean, he just killed them all the time. So yeah, I personally don't like the guy, but he was amazing. He's amazing. He's an amazing hitter. I mean, he really was. So fantastic player. But going into that, Alan, you collect Juan, and then if I can kind of jump in, I found out about you. I met you basically by finding your YouTube videos before I was ever in this Facebook group that many of us are in that are listening to this podcast. I found Ben's videos, and then he mentioned you, and I found your videos. I'd never really thought about showing off cards in a video. And I found this. He's like, go look up this GhostofZefo guy. So I looked him up, and there you are, and you were enthusiastic. You were very into collecting 90s, and I must have found 4 or 5 cards on eBay that I never knew about until I watched your videos. And so, I mean, like, how did you get into a point where you're like, okay, this is something I want to do. I want to start making videos. Like, where did that come from?
Well, I started my YouTube channel back in the original. This is my original YouTube channel, which was Zefo TBS, and I still refer to myself as that in my new videos. I started that back in 08, and it was more of and I think this is how a lot of people got into YouTube. Back in 08, Beckett Yeah, it was Beckett. Used to do the Box Busters videos. They would post them on their website, but they would then upload them to YouTube. And I loved those. And I was big into football back then. I had gotten out of baseball. Like, I couldn't have cared less about baseball at that point. So it was all football for me. And what I would do was I would get on there, watch those videos, and just get totally hyped for the stuff they pulled, which a lot of people say that stuff was rigged. The products they would get were just loaded for them. And, it would get me hyped up. And I'd be like, man, I want to watch another box of this ripped. So I got on YouTube and started searching like box break videos, not group breaks, because that was just kind of just coming about in like 07 and 08. And I found a couple of guys, and one of them is in the group, Chad Caldwell. Thundering 24 was one of the first channels that I subscribed to. Huge Griffey collector, and he did group breaks. He hosted group breaks at that point, and he had probably the most content box break wise out there. And so I started watching his videos. And then after a while, because I wasn't even a member of YouTube yet, this was in 07. I started my channel in 08. But in 07, I would just get on YouTube, search Thundering 24, and then watch videos. So then I started thinking, man, like, I want to see more. So I started a YouTube channel. I didn't make video content, but I would join breaks and watch breaks. And Chad was the guy who I watched a lot of times. And that's kind of how it started on YouTube with me. And I think, honestly, that's how a lot of old school YouTubers start, is they see those box break videos that Beckett did, and then they came to a platform where you can upload videos, so there probably is more box break videos. I think that's how a lot of old school YouTubers got started. I just don't think they know it, or maybe they just don't talk about that. But I think that's how a lot of it started. But that's how it started for me. And then in 2010, I started making videos and doing box breaks of my own. And that's really how it started. But the root of it all started with the Beckett, the Box Busters videos that they did. And I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. And that's how I'm here today, on YouTube. That was my origin.
Well,
Awesome.
I don't remember the Beckett box breaks, but I do remember stumbling on YouTube because I got back into football in 06 or 08. I was in college. And I stumbled across people opening packs on YouTube, and I was like, "Man, it's kind of an adrenaline rush to watch packs being opened. It's not the same. Obviously, you want to be opening them, but to watch it I felt kind of like a kid, with these kids watching like Fortnite videos or whatever. I was like, I couldn't stop watching people opening packs, just wasting a few hours just watching boxes of packs being opened, and it was interesting. It was entertaining. So, there's definitely something there with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I have the same way of getting into. That's what pulled me back into collecting, I think, was finding Chris Justice's videos. I mean, he had a card shop there. He had people watching boxes getting open. His phone would go off and stuff. It was hilarious. But he was really into opening boxes, and now he's, everybody knows who he is, Card Infinity. But he's what got me into it. And he really wasn't that big when I found him. And then as things went on, I really started, getting into modern, which I wish I would have just gone straight to 90s, because back then they were super cheap. Nobody cared about it the way we do now. But yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think you're right, Alan. I think a lot of us, our introduction into YouTube has been through box breaking. I really do. I think cards being showed off on the internet was kind of a thing in forums, which will be a whole nother discussion. But yeah, I think the video side of things, came from the breaks and whatnot. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting. It'll be interesting to hear from other people that we have on here, if that's kind of how it happened for them too. But today we really wanted to focus on, for the viewers and the listeners, just by the way, we're going to try to paint the picture for the audio group that's listening to this podcast of our cards that we're going to show off. But we really wanted to focus on cards from the 90s that we feel probably should sell better. People may not know about them as much, and they're definitely underappreciated based upon how nice they look, how rare they are, and we're going to try to show some of those off. So Alan, being that you're the guest today, would you like to get us started with your first card, please?
I will. I'm going to lead off with this one here. This was from '99 Revolution, Pacific Revolution, and this is the premiere date parallel. This is a parallel to the base card, which I think the set in itself, 98 and 99 Revolution, were just stunning cards. I mean, that's not to use that term loosely, but they really were beautiful cards. These were numbered out of 49. They are embossed here in the middle with the premiere date, which is awkwardly hard to read, but I think July 28th of 1999, I guess, is when the product dropped. I've never read too much into the product. I've just been in love with the design of the cards. And these are just phenomenal looking cards. And the story about this one was that I got this in an insert for insert trade. I love telling this story, from my buddy Brad, who owns probably the best card shop here in the Memphis area. And he had a stack of these in a like snap case, just Juan Gonzalez cards in general. And I've got another one that I'm going to show here in just a few minutes that he had too. And I got this for, I mean, peanuts, literally probably a couple bucks.
Wow.
Equivalent in card for card value. And what I gave him, I couldn't even tell you. It was some prospect from Bowman that probably, it wouldn't bug me today because they're probably not even in the league. But these are out of 49. And like, I never hear people talk about them, you know, and it just blows my mind. But like the foil, again, this has been said so many times. Pacific was so far ahead of their time. They really were. I think that is the story. That's like the one line story about Pacific, was how far ahead of their time they were with the use of foil and just this design, which is almost comic bookish, the background, in a sense. It's like a huge blast, and it's outlined like, I mean, it's a gold card on the outer edge, and in the inner area, it's like holographic foil, and they just refract so well, and I just love them.
Yeah,
and
definitely a beautiful card.
They really are. And honestly, to be honest, I think the 98 version was a little bit better in design, but not by much. They were pretty similar, but I just kind of like the 98 design better. And the problem is, here's the kicker, is they never come up.
Nope.
Like, I mean, I could probably get on eBay and look up Revolution premiere date and find some common players, but the big players just, they don't seem to show up. They really don't. And I haven't been able to track down the Gonzalez from 98. But it's literally one of my favorite cards. I can't say that enough. This will probably make a top 10 every time I do a top 10 or am asked to do a top 10. This will probably make the cut every time. And
I remember seeing that in your top 10 video. That was awesome. Yep. I started looking for them immediately. I mean, I still haven't found one.
Cards like those where there's the serial number is kind of small and they're parallel of an insert. Those kind of cards hang out in boxes because people skip them. They don't realize, they think it's just a Pacific insert, $2 insert. So sometimes people don't even take the time to pull them out to list them. It's kind of similar to what I have to deal with salmon, trying to get those inserts, because a lot of times people just don't think it's worth their time to pull out and list, so they sit in a box when in reality they have some value to them.
Yeah, and go
ahead, Alan.
The kicker about that is, and I wrote this down, the odds on those particular premiere dates were 1 in 25 packs. Like, that's some, for a card out of 49, that's some really good odds. You know, I don't know what box content is pack wise. I want to say it's like 24 pack boxes.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
So one every other box. And I would venture to say, if you went on eBay and you found a box of Revolution, you would probably pull a premiere date.
Yep.
You know, I think the odds are that good that you could pretty much just about guarantee that you're going to pull one. And you're not guaranteed to pull a great player, but I like my odds, you know?
Yeah.
And I looked up I've looked up prices on Revolution before, and the problem there is those boxes don't really pop up either, and
No.
they may be just about depleted.
No, I think a big thing too is I'm kind of thinking is rather than that being an insert, this is a parallel we're talking about. That if have you seen the base card of that, Alan? Is it the same color and everything?
It is. It is
See,
the exact same everything. It just doesn't have the embossment.
right. So like Greg is saying, you're not going to look on the back. It looks like a base card, and I opened a box of Vanguard. What was it, like 2 months ago, 3 months ago? And honestly, I had to go through the stack twice, and I found 2 serial numbered cards that I didn't notice going through it, because Pacific just put a serial number on there. They didn't do anything else. Right. With a lot of their parallels. And so, I mean, some of them had little foil things on the front, but a lot of times they threw them on the back. And so they're honestly, most of our favorite players have been thrown away, as with the parallels.
That information that we have now was relevant back then. And so people had that and knew to look for it. But now you go 20, 30 years, people forget that. And so when they're flipping through their cards and they just see base, they're not looking for specifics, embossments, serial number placement. They're just kind of flipping through. And a lot of these cards are just sitting around in closets that they could be out there.
Yeah, well, hopefully they're sitting in a closet and not been destroyed in a trash bin or something. That's kind of my worry with some of these. But awesome. Yeah, that's a great card to start it off, Alan, because I think that sums up exactly what we're talking about. Not many people know about them. Not many people have them. They're not crazy expensive unless somebody lists it properly. You can go in and snag one in a lot or something and probably not even know that you're getting it. But what about you, Greg? What's the first card you want to show off?
So that's hard to follow, but mine is a parallel of an insert, and it is the 95 Pinnacle White Hot. It's the Dufex technology. So I remember pulling a Carlos Baerga Red Hot. I didn't even know these existed until just a few years ago. And I got the Frank as well. And I was looking, and I saw White Hot, and I was like, White Hot? What? I thought there was just Red Hot. How is this a thing? And so there's 25 of those in the set, and each one has a White Hot. And they're just, Dufex is awesome. If you're not familiar, it's the reflective etched foil technology, started in '93. And so looking at these cards, they just really pop. And having a parallel of an insert is just, an SP short print of an insert is awesome. So this Dufex technology plus having it short printed, White Hot, it's that special blue. It just, it popped for me, and it's my first choice for our talk.
Well, I think for anybody listening or watching, if you're just getting into, collecting 90s, shout out to Alan Chan. I know he's listening. He's just cutting in. He's a really enthusiastic collector. Guys like that coming into the hobby, you don't have to spend much to get, the Dufex cards. And I think we'd all agree. Go pick a couple of them up. I mean, they're amazing to look at. They look, incredible under the light, depending on how you turn it. I'd say, what was it, 95 and 96, there was a big push of that technology in the Pinnacle inserts. And I know I have a Team Pinnacle of A-Rod, which is on the Dufex side, and Chipper on the back, which who cares about that? Not on the Dufex side. But, I think that's one of my favorites. He's got 4 or 5 that are just stunning cards to look at. So I think that's an awesome example. Well, I think to follow that up, I was going to do a parallel too, but this card that I have is something that I remember it's been like a top card of mine, and I don't think it's that expensive, but I have to turn on my blinding light here to really show this off. So this is from 97 Flair. This is called Diamond Tribute, and this is like a case hit insert, but let's see if I can show it off real well here without blinding everybody.
Those are so gorgeous.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard to show this off with a light, but the reflective technology on this thing is incredible. There we go. Yeah. They look amazing, and they've got kind of a bumpy surface to them, but I really like this card. And when I first got back into collecting A-Rod when I was in college, I remember this one really stood out to me. And I know it's like a case hit, but I've seen these sell from anywhere from what, $5 to $10. I mean, the Griffey, of course, will cost you a lot, or the Jeter, but in general, you can pick them up for real cheap, and they look amazing. Like right now, if I could only get this kind of light reflection on there, it looks amazing. But yeah, this is definitely my first choice. So 97 Flair Diamond Tribute.
It looks
Anybody
like
listening?
Busting out of the diamond. I like that card.
Yeah, they did a really good job with this guy. I don't think I've seen another one like it. So that's my first choice. All right, Alan, what's number 2? I don't know how we're gonna follow these cards up, but let's give it a try, man.
See, y'all already pointed out the ramble.
No way, man. It's good discussion. That's what we love.
The next one is going to be from 96 Upper Deck, which I think we're going to see multiples of in this broadcast, because I think somebody else, I think Greg, I think you've got a 96 Upper Deck card as well.
Yeah.
But this is the Diamond Destiny Gold parallel. These are really cool. The kicker on these is that these were Walmart exclusives, like the Diamond Destiny cards, period. They were 3 tiers. There was a bronze, which was just the base, silver, and then there was the gold versions. And I had the pack ratios on this last night, and now I don't have it. It's another one that really, it technically, given its circumstances, that it was a Walmart exclusive and it was a lower end product. I mean, just kind of a, not really lower end, but it, didn't command a premium pack price. But that, I think, is what drives these to be so tough to obtain. But these were from the tech packs, which, like I said, were Walmart exclusives. And I want to say it was 1 in 31 packs, so odds not that bad. But these things are seriously hard to track down. I'm still trying to track down a silver version, which I want to say is half the odds. And I can't track one down for a good price. There's one, I think, on eBay right now, but it's priced out of what an acceptable range would be. So right. I'm just kind of wanting to hit the bay on auction, or maybe in a lot, because that's actually how I got that one. I found that in a lot of, I want to say 4 or 5 other cards. And it was at a great time for me because I was trying to build up my numbers for the collection. And I want to say every card, with the exception of one card in that lot, I needed. I didn't have it. But that was the driving force behind purchasing the lot. And I couldn't have hit buy now fast enough. Like, I saw that, looked it up, and I saw what basically there's a site that I use, and I'm going to go through this real quick. It's a Juan Gonzalez exclusive website. It's more like a forum. It's all Juan Gonzalez stuff, and that's how I chart everything that I have. That's how I keep track of it. And I saw, when I went to that card, how many other members of that forum have that card. And at that time, there were only like 4 other guys. So I was like, dude, there's something to this. Went to Baseball Cardpedia, figured out that it was a Walmart exclusive, and that explained everything, because not only were they kind of tough to find, but I think a lot of that product is probably in a warehouse somewhere just waiting on somebody to come buy it. Or, maybe an old Walmart manager has it at his house. They didn't sell it, so he just acquired it. Something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where a lot of that product is, the tech packs, because it's not like you could go on eBay, buy a box of 96 Upper Deck and get those. They had to be tech packs. And I've never even seen one of those packs, never even seen one of the boxes. So I don't know.
I had no idea that those were Walmart exclusives. You hit a product that's retail only nowadays. From back then, it's hard to find those cards, but getting something that's just Walmart only is even more in depth on finding something like that. I remember buying a few packs of those at Walmart, but I didn't know they were Walmart exclusive. That makes it so much more rare.
Did they say tech pack on them? Like, what does that mean exactly? Was it a label that was on the pack, or is that just because of the location that they came from?
It may have been labeled on the boxes. Maybe. I haven't ever seen one of the boxes. And the only way that I found out was through Baseball Cardpedia. which ought to just be a sponsor of this podcast.
I know. Yeah. Shout out to Rodney. Thanks for all the help, buddy.
Absolutely. I mean, it's such a valuable reference because I would have never known. All I would have known info wise on that card is just that there's only 4 other Juan Gonzalez collectors that I know of that have it. And I would have never known why, it was so tough. But it's information like that just, it elaborates so much more on the story behind the card itself. So, I mean, I promote Baseball Cardpedia to everyone who asks me anything about 90s. Man, I make sure if I get a message, I link it in the message, so, and I tell them, this is a valuable resource. It's invaluable. There is no price you can put on that because there's so much that I wouldn't know about the cards that I have if it wasn't for that site. So I love it. And that's a huge reason that I have that card and didn't pass up on it. That's probably, I would say 40% of the reason that I own that card. And I clicked by it now as quickly as I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we've all been there before. Like, like we see a card on eBay and we're like, oh my gosh, is this what I think it is? Run to Baseball Cardpedia, look it up. Okay. Yep. Click buy it now. And
9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, I'm going to Baseball Cardpedia for some information. Somebody asked me a question. Hold on 1 second. Okay.
Right.
Answer.
And
good
just
point.
to elaborate for the people who are listening, there's really nothing special about these. It's just a regular looking card with a player like action pose, and then there is a
like a stinky bubble. Like
right. With the acetate, with a photo superimposed on the acetate, and just gold foil around the circle where the acetate is, and gold foil at the bottom, and then the Upper Deck logo. So there's really nothing super special about it. I would say aesthetically, the acetate is the driving force behind the look of the card. It is kind of cool, but there's really nothing super special about it. But they are tough.
Yeah.
Right. And Upper Deck is notorious for trying some fun designs for sure in the 90s where they try something that no other companies are doing. So I think that card has 90s written all over it. Hard to find. A lot of people don't know what the heck it is. It's got acetate on it. It's Upper Deck. I mean, that really is perfect. All right, Greg, what's our next salmon, dude? Are you gonna follow that? You got an Upper Deck too, don't you?
I do. It's the 96 Upper Deck Hot Commodities. I completed the set.
Yes, you did. That was awesome.
Yeah. These are just fun cards. Like I enjoy 99-cent cards that are fun. It may not be rare, but they're just a beautiful card. It's
absolutely
die cut. It's got like I wouldn't say defects, but like a etched kind of foil glare to it. They really pop in your hand. And then of course, this is such an iconic pose.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah, Griffey hitting a home run, watching it, on a die cut, the orange. When you put these in light, you just mesmerize. Like it's hard to not look at them for like 10 seconds or more, just appreciate just the card.
Yeah.
And there's 20 of these in the set. It wasn't hard to put together. I think the Griffey was $10-15, and all of them are under that. It's just, I love this set. I have it in a binder. I don't have many cards in binders. I have this set in a binder. I look at it a couple of times a week, and I'm just happy with the set. It's one of these, I think, truly underappreciated sets that just, they're abundant, they're available, but it's just awesome to have in your collection because they're a fun card.
You schooled me on that set because when you submitted the pictures in Messenger the other night, I didn't know anything about that one. I think there was another Hot Commodities set for another year.
Yeah, there is.
There was. Okay.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one's a little. It's cool, but it's nowhere near what this set is.
I just didn't know anything about it. That was the first time. I went and checked the checklist. Of course, I mean, we don't have to say which site I went.
Yeah,
to.
right.
I went and looked at it. So that is amazing.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, this set, it's got a good checklist, and the cards, like I said, they're just beautiful to look at.
They are.
Fun fact for everybody that might not know this. I don't know why I don't have this card right now. It's been on eBay tons of times. But in 96, they used that exact same design, cut-wise, not the color, but the exact same cut for the blue chip prospects from 96. That had Jeter, A-Rod in it. The exact same card, which is interesting because you hardly ever see a company reuse the same die cut.
Yeah.
Looking, for a completely different insert set. But they did. The exact same card design cut is on the blue chip prospect.
Carlos Delgado. I remember pulling that out of a pack. Those are awesome cards.
Nice.
That was a hot card back then too, for sure.
Well, speaking of cards that we pulled from packs, I didn't pull this card right here, but I've pulled this insert from a box that this product came from, which was really exciting. So let me show off the card first. This is from 1999 Upper Deck Onyx, which is personally, if I were ever do a master set, that would be it. It'd be the only one. And I think we know what other insert goes with that set that we don't need to show off because it's very appreciated. But these sell for super cheap, no matter who it is, other than Griffey. And it's amazing to me because I love the design and the technology. These are the Warp Zone from 99 Onyx, and I don't know if it's going to focus there, but you can see it's got that rainbow foil on it. It's got a white background, nice picture of the player in the top corner. These were 1 out of 206 packs, which was a case hit because Onyx only had 18 packs per box, and it was a high-end product. It was like 90 to 100 bucks a box. I don't know if either of you ever remember seeing those for sale, but I got into a little groove of breaking 90s boxes, including I found like 4 or 5 Onyx boxes for like 20 bucks a piece. And I found this one that was like opened, but all the packs were in it still. It was really strange. So I'm like, for 12 bucks, this could be anything. I could just get a bunch of base card packs. Oh, well, it'll be fun. I kid you not. And Greg should have this card, but he decided to pass it. I pulled the Nomar Warp Zone out of a box, and I can't even imagine what that would have been like in the 90s because that was like a $50 card, $40 card back then. Now the Nomar is, he's not quite as popular. But to pull a case hit out of a box was awesome. And I had aspirations of doing the whole set. Maybe I will someday, which I think I could be easily obtained for around $100 because they just don't sell that well. But 99 Onyx is one of my all-time favorite products. They've got one of the rarest inserts that aren't numbered for some reason in the product as well, called holographic. So that I had to be in my list for sure of underappreciated cards. So 99 Onyx Warp Zone for anybody.
Real quick, I almost chose the 99 Onyx Awesome Power. It's like it's Austin Powered, Awesome Powered.
That's from 2000, by the way. I had to point that out. It's one of the coolest ones from 2000. It's awesome.
Okay, my bad. But I almost pulled the Onyx of that. I love that card. It was a 99-cent card, but it's just so fun. It shines. It says Awesome Powers.
Onyx did a really good job with their 2 designs. 2000, they took a step back though, because if you all remember, the Techno Parallel out of 100 was in 99 Onyx. The holographics, which are 1 out of 1,500 packs, and then the Warp Zone were also one per case, which I think is, like I said, 208. Not in 2000, they did away with like everything that made the set great. They they didn't do any serial numbered hits. There was the parallels were not numbered. It was a completely different product change, kind of like 96, what is it, 96 Circa. That was a high-end product. Nobody bought it. So then 97 through 2000, when they made the product, was all super cheap, which I think Onyx did too. It was just a cheap Upper Deck product, which really stinks because I think they lost out on making another amazing set. But I think anybody that wants to go up, look up Onyx, any of the inserts, whether they're super cheap or a little bit more expensive, you can't go wrong. It's a great design. So
sometimes you just capture magic, like the 96 Circa, 99 Upper Deck Onyx, the movie Home Alone. Sometimes you just get
oh, nice. That was a nice plug right there. I'm surprised you didn't do Game of Thrones or something relevant that most kids know.
Some of that stuff. Yeah. It magically all the stars align and you got like an amazing product.
Like Field of Dreams, right? Like that movie, nobody even thought it was going to be any good, and it wasn't. When it came out in theaters, nobody liked it. Now it's like a classic. All of us baseball fans love it.
Yeah.
So
another one of those the inserts from 99 Onyx, and it's like a a long list of cards you could have chose, and I love the warp zones. They are amazing, and it's like they were overshadowed, like you said, by the holographics. Well, I think warp zones also kind of overshadowed the cybers, and the cybers are gorgeous. They show off just as well as like the warp zones and the holographics. Like I got a cyber, I bought a cyber in a lot, a player lot, and I couldn't take my eyes off that card. And it was probably the least of the cards in the stack. And I was like, dude, that product was amazing. Like they did. Like it's like they did capture magic, just like Greg said. I mean, that's literally what that product was.
Stay tuned for all 99 Onyx prices to go up. So if anybody has any, throw them on the bay right now. Now's the time.
You have a Beckett from 2000, right?
I do have one from 2000. Yeah, it's. I don't know if I can unearth it quick enough. Oh yeah, it's right behind me. You want me to grab it?
Yeah, I want to know what the warp zones were priced at.
Okay, let me look.
Because I feel like, I don't know, Beckett's wrong 90% of the time now for the 90s stuff. But I want to know what their price was in 2000 for a set that came out, 1 year from that time of the Beckett.
All right. Yeah, this thing's been well loved. I've looked through it a bunch like I did when I was a kid. So it was kind of interesting because I know it's listed in here as UD Ionics, not the Upper Deck Ionics. So it's the first one in here, as is. Oh, yeah, there it is. All right. So we've got you said the Cybers, right?
I think
Alan?
Warp Zone.
Yeah, well, the Cybers are 1 in 53. Those are priced super high too. I just want to point this out. The Jeter is 60.
Wow.
McGuire, this is the year right after he went crazy. So his cards are 80, as is the Griffey. This is the Cyber. That's 1 in 53 packs. Now think about that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yep. The Warp Zones. Oh wow, yeah, they're priced quite high here. The Griffey is 120.
How much was the Nomar?
The Nomar was 80.
Should have got it from you.
Dude, why didn't you do it, man? Whatever. We'll just let that go. Shout out to Jason. He's got it. But the A-Rod was 80. The Juan was 30. So, I mean, right there. Who should have won MVP? I think we figured that out by that price. But no, anyways, yeah, they're high. And then, of course, the holographics are insanely high. The Griffey's 250. So those are super high. Yeah, the Juan's 60, the Griffey's 250. But I mean, there you go. Underappreciated. Juan had the same stats as Griffey did, more or less. I mean, he just wasn't as well known. And I mean, nothing bad here, but he's even cheaper he's the cheapest player in the set, which is kind of interesting.
At that point, he had come off of an injury year. I think 99. I want to say it's either 99 or 2000. He missed almost a whole season. And I can't remember exactly what year it was, but 98, he had his second MVP campaign. So he was doing pretty well, but by 2000, that's when he got traded to Detroit, spent a year there, if that, and did okay. And then got shipped off to Cleveland. So, I mean, once he left the Rangers, like everything just kind of went downhill. It was starting to trickle downhill after that last really bad back injury that he had. And that was his problem the whole time, was his back just gave him fits. And yeah, it killed his hobby. It really did. But it's been good for me.
No kidding. Well, it's kind of funny to think of the players who aren't in holographics. One of the most iconic insert sets from the 90s. I mean, he's in there where isn't Bonds not in that set? If I remember correctly, I remember Alan Chan was telling me how bummed he is that he's not in there. It's crazy to me.
I'll tell you, not in there is Tim Salmon.
I know. How did that happen? Holy mackerel, we missed out. He should have been in there instead of Juan, right? But then Alan would be bummed that he didn't have it. So
Well,
yeah.
Speaking of that, going back to Greg showing the White Hots, I remember somebody in the group showed the White Hot. I forget who it was. And you want to talk about upset. When I found out he was not on that checklist, I was it was like a bitter jealousy. I love those White Hot cards. And I didn't say that when he was showing it, but man, I love those cards. I really do.
Well, it goes both ways because A-Rod's not in there either. So, we don't have that card, but Tim Salmon does, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
and then you switch it around and it'll go the other way, like with the holographics. So whoever made the decisions to put certain guys in sets, I mean, that's a whole nother discussion we should talk about at some point. But yeah, whatever. We just got to let that go. But all right, Alan, let's see card number 3. What you got for us?
All right, card number 3 is going to be, this is going to be a pair, but it'll make sense. It is the 98 Donruss Elite Prime Numbers die cuts. These are, to me, amazing cards. And the way that they did them, the way that they were numbered is kind of I would say not kind of, it's a huge contributing factor, if not the entire reason why they are so underappreciated. And all right, so as far as the look of the cards, nothing really stands out much aesthetically to me. And I will explain. I saw these on eBay before I ever purchased this card. This one right here. I would see these on eBay. There were like 2 of them at the time that were on eBay, and I swore to myself I will never own one of those. Like I just didn't.
That's
this
funny.
card I got the very same day that I got the premiere date in a trade, and I got this one for peanuts too. And when I got it in my hand, I saw that the name, the player name was in holographic or holofoil. The team logo or the team name is in holofoil, and like everything printing wise is all holofoil, mated with the acetate card itself, die cut. And once you get these in hand, this is one of those cards that like it will change your mind. If you don't like it just in pictures, get it in hand, and you will change your mind. The cool thing about these, and I have to hurry, is each one has a digit on the front. They all stand for something. This one is 589, which was Juan's slugging percentage in 97. So the first one, and these had non-die cut variations and then the
Right.
die. So they're really confusing. And like I said, that's what leads to these just being totally undervalued. The first digit, which would be 5 in this case, there's 500 of these. It's numbered to 589. There were 589 of these all together. The first one, there's 500 of these for the number 5. The second one is out of 80. The 9, as you might already know, is out of 9. So a lot of people would see this because they all on the back are numbered out of 589. So people would see that and be like, oh, well, this is just, there's 589 of these. There's nothing special about it. Well, there's not, because 9 times out of 10, there's nobody there to explain that. And I think the owner of the LCS that I got that from, I don't think he really understood it, because this, again, was in a snap case, no top loaders, no nothing, with other Gonzalez cards. And I mean, I stole that card away for just some like Bowman prospects, no autos, no nothing.
So,
And I mean, I was blown away. And I didn't know also when I left, I didn't really know yet what I had. I didn't know that this was a version numbered to 80. It took me the better part of probably 20 minutes to figure out on Baseball Cardpedia what they were trying to tell me. Because even on there, when you read it, it's hard to understand. So it took me the better portion of a night to like fully get a grasp of the whole run, and like how the non-die cuts, it's the exact opposite. The 9, like out of 589, would be, whereas as the die cut is the rarest of them all, the 9 on the non-die cuts is the most prevalent of them all, and the 5 is the rarest.
they
So
must have sat down with Skybox and did an essential credentials prime number.
Yeah, that's right.
it's I mean, where they got creative, and like the thing that made the cards kind of the coolest, but in a sense of rarity, was the downfall of the card.
Yeah.
As value. And people don't necessarily, they're not all like us, where we really like going through and figuring out those things and then knowing those things, you know, like, hey, look, the 9 die cut for this, like, you may never see that card. Well, somebody else might actually have the 9 and be like, it's number out of 589. I'm not throwing that up on eBay.
Yeah.
Like, it's worth
Yeah, that's
it.
a good point.
I could totally see that happening just because when you make a set so convoluted like that,
Yeah,
it's hard to get that information and know that.
absolutely.
So
And
the 9 is it like the last 9 that are serial numbered, like 581, 582? Do you know?
yes, I want to say it is. Look, because like this one, the 8 is numbered 44 of 589. So the first 80 were,
So it could be 1 through 9 could be the 9 and
I
10.
believe that's how it went. I don't
Okay.
think I
That
don't
makes
think
sense.
actually, I don't think the serial number on the back was out of 9. Now, I may be wrong, and I probably need to check on that. And I probably knew at one time, and I've forgotten.
Well, I mean, it's really confusing to try to keep track of all that because right now I'm thinking, well, wait, is there 589 of the die cut, and then there's 589 of the non-die cut, and then you got to figure out how many of them are which, depending on which way you're going down the line.
The Diamond Kings canvas, like the first 500 were canvas, and the other 9,500 were not. So I was thinking the first 9 of those would be the 9. And then the 80 after that would be the 8, and then the rest.
I think you're right. I think that's how it
Well,
goes.
same company, right? I mean, both are Donruss products. Like, yeah. So I think Greg nailed it on the head. I think that's how it's numbered.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Go figure. Like, we're sitting here trying to explain it to everyone.
Yeah.
And it's even, as we talk about it, it's even hard for us to like really get a grasp of it.
Right. For sure.
So, you know, it's tough. It really is. It's tough to really know what you've got.
But it adds to the, you know, the dynamic and how the appeal of the card. That right there, what you just went through, makes you appreciate the card so much more. And until you know about it, again, we keep with the theme, that card is super underappreciated because nobody has any idea what they have. They're like, oh, well, good, it's a, you know, card, whatever.
That is so much more easier to find in a box than it would be, you know, like a Flair Brilliance Gold 24 karat, because you see 589. So that has much more, that's much more common in a box because of the serial number.
It can almost be a deterring factor of whether anybody would want the card.
Right.
But they almost
for sure.
themselves a service just making them and numbering them so confusingly.
Yeah.
Somebody had it written all down and typed up or whatever. Like, all right, guys, like at the staff meeting, like, all right, here's what I have. Here's my idea, you know, and and they're all like looking at him, just this confused look on their face, like, wait, you're gonna have to go through that again. So he pulls out the, you know, the big notepad thing and writes it all out. And like, that sounds awesome. I don't know. Who knows how it went down, but
the release date's tomorrow. Sounds good. Let's do it.
Yeah. We got to get something in there. But I think what an amazing idea for a set. I mean, that's awesome. I have a couple that I got my eye on, but I think I learned a little bit more about them now than I'd known prior. But all right, so I think we got time to show off one more card each, Greg. Just kind of keeping with our schedule here. What do you want to show off next? What's your third card?
All right, I'm gonna go with decisions. I'm gonna go with the Skybox Molten Metal Fusion.
Oh, nice.
So it's hard to really see. I'm gonna try.
You can see the light behind it.
Yeah. So there's like they stamped out the dots. So you can see when you put it up against the light, it kind of creates a shadow. You can see through the card, and it creates the person. That's better.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, because the back shows it off what the front looks like.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So the back actually shows it a little better. But they're see-through cards. Very cool. This is the 500. There are 500 of these. And then you've got a 50 version, and then you got the base version. So these cards, I love them. They're so fun to look at. Like, you put them in the light, you can see right through them. I think Pacific did something similar with it, and I have
Man, which one is it? Oh, was it EO portraits, I believe.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
And I got the Piazza of that, but this, I've been looking for the salmon. Actually, somebody in the group picked up the Troy Gloss recently.
Out of 50, right?
I have it saved on eBay. So when I saw that it was sold, I saw the Angels uniform and I was freaking out. And then I realized, oh, it's not Team Salmon, so it's okay. But these cards, I would love to have the 50 titanium version.
No doubt.
Yeah,
and those titanium out of 50, those are not underappreciated. Those are extremely high valued cards, thanks to what basketball's done to the 90s. The Jordan base sells for like what, $50, and so those cards are the ones out of 500. Greg, those definitely fly under the radar because nobody's looking for those. Everybody's looking for the gold out of 50.
Right.
You know?
And these, I don't know. I just, any kind of gimmick stuff, the die cuts, embossed, if it's gimmicky and it's shiny, or if it's cool and you can see through it, I'm a sucker for them. So these, that's why they made my top 5.
Well, I think I can just go right off of that because you said die cut, you said shiny and kind of gimmicky, and we've all shown off 2, which is great. So I have 2 cards to show off, and I might not want to. I'll try the light out here. This could be a little bit too bright, but this is from '99 Stadium Club, and these are called, and I remember when I first saw these, I'm like, well, how the heck do I even say this? These are called the Triumvirate inserts, and there's 3 different versions. There's I'm going to get them wrong here. I know the Illuminators are the see-through and shiny ones, and that's these 2 right here. So I don't know if they're gonna pick up. Oh yeah, they kind of pick up a little bit.
The Luminous, the Luminescent, and the Illuminator.
Thank you, Greg. So this is the Illuminator. These are the toughest versions. And they've got a refractor shine to them. I know it doesn't show off very well here. Might just not need the light, but they're see-through. They got a refractor finish on them. And how they did these, what you can see, there are 2 different versions of these. They pieced together to make with 3 players to make like a banner type thing. So I like this version better personally, but I was able to get these for really cheap. And I'm sure both of you have versions of the Triumvirate inserts. They really look awesome. Like the Illuminators being the see-through are just incredible. I mean, yeah, my camera is not doing my cards justice today, that's for sure. I mean, because I love this one, especially because it's the logo of the American League logos in the back right there. And you can see that refractage there. It really looks nice. But this one was like $3 or something.
Yeah.
And it's because, again, like the Donruss things, people don't know this is the Illuminator. Like, it doesn't say Illuminator on it. It doesn't, again, just like the prime numbers, people think this is just the base insert, which was 1 out of 2 or 3 boxes, I think, and they just throw it up and nobody realizes what they have. And then sometimes on the opposite side, a non-illuminator will be called an illuminator. Now, I do have to say on this version, it says right here at the bottom, I don't know if anybody can see that, but it says illuminator on the bottom of that one, but not the other one.
Yeah. They realized how confusing it was, and so they put the word on it, because I thought it in illuminator, quote unquote, that was luminescent, and I had to get some money back because I had to tell them and show them that it was the luminescent and not the illuminator.
I had that same thing happen to me. Thankfully, the A-Rod wasn't expensive. From '98, you guys remember the ones that look like baseball gloves, those die-cut illuminators? It was that one. But yeah, there's a whole website somebody made to help us out with these things that I remember you linked to me. Alan, have you seen these illuminators? I assume you have a couple of one, right?
I have the was that the 98 that you showed?
I showed the 99s. Yeah.
Okay, so the 99 is the one that I have, the one that actually says Illuminator at the bottom.
Yeah.
I have that one, and I have the Luminous. I still need the Luminescent. I haven't been able to really track one down. Honestly, I got kind of lazy on it, and I was really hoping I would just kind of stumble upon it, and I haven't yet. I mean, it's I wouldn't say that it's tough. It just, there's not really that many available, and I feel like the pricing on them, for one, is like wrong, or the shipping on them is just absurdly high because they're trying to recoup funds
You're
from
right.
the price. So that many times is a deterrent for me. But getting the luminescent is definitely in my plans. I'm hoping I can score it in a player lot. Maybe it'll just be in there and I can, benefit from getting a bunch of things to mark off the list all at once. So, but I love those, especially the ones that do say luminous, luminescent, and illuminator there at the bottom. Those are my favorite. I think the die cut was done so well on them.
Yeah, they did a great job with those for sure.
For sure. I've seen some of those, like the Frank Thomas. They got like the little tiny spikes coming. It's very intricate work on some of these die
It is.
No, for sure, for sure, and the condition sensitive too. I mean, I'm surprised that I wonder how many of them got destroyed. Because they're very thin. They're that kind of not rubbery, but what is it? That see-through stuff going on. So yeah. Well, we were planning on showing more off, but I think it would be great. I know we could do this for hours. Come on, let's be honest. We could do this for hours, not on a podcast, But I think it'd be really cool. If we can move on to our kind of the end segment that we always like to do is we like to highlight something that we picked up since the last podcast. And being that Alan's our guest of honor, would you like to go ahead and start? Tell us something awesome that you've snagged for your wand collection.
This one I was lucky enough to actually pull this week. I did post about it in the group. Yep. And honestly, this threw me for a loop. It made me look really green the way that I posted it. And honestly, I had a slip of intelligence and didn't really thoroughly realize what I had pulled. But it is from 1998 Finest. And it is the non-protector refractor of Wangan.
So sick, because the back is what makes that card for me.
And see, that's what I guess maybe I have read that before and it just didn't sink in. And I made the dumbest comment in the post.
I remember I saw that.
And I was like, I forget who it was that pointed it out. But once he pointed it out, I was like, oh my God, you're right. You are right. You're absolutely right. And I felt so stupid because I had been wondering even lately, what is the difference in the non-protector and the protectors, as far as it pertains to the refractors? And he said it, and I was like, I have read that somewhere before, but it didn't stick. So that just goes to show you, you're never done learning, like with the 90s stuff. And the 90s inserts, like collecting wise, is still relatively new to me. I've only been knee deep in it for probably the past 3.5 years. So I'm still learning, but to have pulled this, I've ripped so many 90s boxes now, cases upon cases of like 99 Bowman's Best, 98 Bowman's Best, and I've never pulled a Juan Gonzalez refractor. And then to pull the non-protector, even though I looked like an idiot the way that through, it was just so cool to me. And I don't know if the refractage is coming through really, but
not as good as that card really shows off. No, definitely not.
And these definitely don't shine plus the 99s. They don't have that refractive nature like the 99s do, but that was really cool because it's never happened to me before.
Yeah, that's a heck of a pull. I've been trying to find the salmon like that's not faded because they got that green hulking.
Yep.
And you can't find a salmon that looks in good condition. They all have the fading on them.
I can't find an A-Rod with no protector at all. So, I mean, you Mr. Non-fading. At least there's one out there. I've never seen a non-protected refractor of A-Rod yet.
He's like an albino. So.
Well, that's an awesome story, Al. I mean, to be able to pull not only your player out of a 90s box, but to have it be a card that is honestly quite hard to find. And again, I think even keeps with the theme of underappreciated cards, because I think those non-protectors, A, don't get recognized because somebody's peeled the protector off of the regular refractor, or B, people are like, oh, well, a base refractor, so what? I mean, they're much, much tougher than eBay sales might lead on, for sure.
Right.
So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what about you, Greg? What did you pick up? Well, I know the answer to this, but I'm excited to see which one you decided on.
Well, I'm doing them both because they're going to be part of a set, hopefully.
All right.
So these are the credentials. It's like our podcast name. They're not essential, but they are credentials.
Those are so sick, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got the
Yeah,
Griffin
Point
Frank.
on the-
I am thinking hardly, thinking hard about putting this set together. I have like 5 now. We'll have 15 pretty soon.
Uh-huh.
100. They're just phenomenal cards. You know, they speak for themselves. So those are my 2 pickups. They see through, you know, got the shine, everything, check marks. They're all there.
Absolutely.
Amazing cards. So
EX did it right. Let's be honest. In the 90s, EX did it right up until I think 2001, if I may say so myself. 2001 was probably the last year that they looked really nice. But the acetate cards, I remember that the base cards I loved from EX. So
oh yeah, for sure.
and those, I mean, all of us that had base cards of 90s players, you had an EX and it was like one of your favorites, right? It sat in the middle page in your book because that was where the best card went. Awesome. That's great, dude. I was kind of surprised when Greg showed me. He's like, I got to tell you, I picked up something really cool. I'm like, well, let me guess which card it is. And he wouldn't tell me. I was not thinking it would be a Griffey. Like, and you're towing the line when it comes to like Griffey hitting a peak because his cards are they're highly desirable. They're very expensive and everybody wants him because he's the epitome of 90s baseball. He really is. So, okay, so my card that I picked up, really cool story. Got to give my dad a shout out. I know he listens to the podcast, but when he started getting me into baseball cards in about 96, 97, I remember every time I'd get a base card of a Mariner, I liked Ken Griffey Jr., of course, who didn't, Alex Rodriguez, and Joey Cora. So nobody collected him. So thankfully I could find any card that I wanted of him. But we'd go into card shops and there'd be base cards of these players. And I remember Flair always standing out to me. I mean, Flair base card designs from 97. I mean, they had, they're 94. They had it in 90, I think 96, 95. Flair was decent, but it didn't touch the place that it got to from 97 to 2000. And the cards are incredible looking. And so I was able to pick up the Flair Legacy version of this base card. And the Legacies, for anyone that doesn't know, are numbered out of 100. And fun little fact, if you don't have the blue name, the blue foil name on the back, it's most likely a backdoored version of that card, meaning that somebody sold a replacement version. They took it from Flair when they went bankrupt and sold it on the open market. But really happy to get that card because I had that base card of A-Rod. And when I got rid of my cards when I was growing up, I just was I was really bummed about that one. That card always sat in the middle page. Like I said, it was one of my favorites. And to get the legacy of it, also cool, the seller. I don't know who he is, but he sent the base card with it, which was, I was like, man, this is like destiny. This is awesome. I was meant to have these cards again. So I overpaid a little bit for that card, but I had to have that card. I've missed it. I missed it twice on eBay, and I was like, I'm not missing it again. I'm not letting it happen.
Sometimes you just gotta make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can all agree. We've all had that. Alan,
yeah.
You've had it happen. Greg, you've had it happen. It's like the card goes up, you lose out the last second, and you just like, oh my gosh, and then when it finally comes up again, you're like, all right, here we go.
Yeah. Those legacies are beautiful. Those, I remember as a kid, those were like the rich man's baseball cards and those fancy boxes. Those are beautiful cards, though. They did good with the legacies. I like those a lot.
The packaging too. I mean, I don't know if any of you opened Flair, but I opened one box of 98 and one box of 99 many years ago, and I love the packaging because you open it up, it's a real big box. They're kind of angled in the box, and they're kind of in a column, in 2 columns, and just the base cards look incredible. There's 3 different versions of the base cards: row 2, row 1, row 0. I mean, everything about Flair is perfect for the 90s. So if anybody wants to go find some base cards that look amazing, go get some Flair or EX. I think you can't do wrong with either of those. But well, hey, Alan, it was awesome having you on. I really enjoyed it. I think, I'm sure I'll let Greg speak for himself, but yeah, I really enjoyed having you on here, man. It was awesome. You're one of the first guys I found on YouTube. Super friendly guy. You're always looking out for me on eBay and A-Rod cards, which you're still holding some for me. So we got to take care of that. And really happy to be able to have you join us, man. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate y'all having me on. I love what y'all are doing. Like this is actually, I was telling Matthew the other day on the phone, this works hand in hand with the group. Like we feed off of each other, and it's like taking things from the group, subjects and stuff like that get brought up in the group, and really elaborating on them and taking the time to elaborate on the topics individually. And I love it. Y'all have really done well with this. And I did get to listen to, I finally finished up the Rodney episode this week, and that was so enjoyable. Like I actually put on my earbuds and just listened to it. I didn't watch it. I had it in my pocket while I was working. And man, that guy is a wealth of information, and just having y'all there as a 3-part discussion of the market, that was just really super enjoyable. So well done, and just keep it up. Y'all are killing it, and I love it.
I appreciate
Thank you for having me.
Can't do it without you guys, so we appreciate it.
On behalf of all the guys, I appreciate it.
Good. Well, that's, I mean, when Greg brought the idea up to do the podcast, I was like, man, this is a perfect time to do it. The group the group kind of started coming back this last 6 months. I'm sure you guys have noticed, our group kind of went through a lull. Like, I don't know why, but we got these new members. We got some people, Greg started posting a lot more. I was like, hey, there's other people that are starting to get, and it's just been snowballing from there. All of us are a lot more active. And so Greg, I mean, you timed it perfect, man. I think this is the right time to do this. And just for a preview for everybody that's listening, if anybody knows who Tanner Jones is, he's a little bit more well-known than any of us because he's got a book about collecting cards from the 90s. He and I are going to be chatting a little bit about the next episode, and I'm pretty sure that he's going to be on here. So really look forward to that. And hopefully, Alan, we can get you back on again for another discussion. That'd be great, man.
Absolutely. Anytime. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Look forward to having you back in a couple weeks. Take care.
Peace out.